Yeah, good day, everyone. This is Raja Mitra, one of the co-founders of Digital CRM, and we're going to be talking about a number of questions which we have been receiving from interested people and potential participants about analytics program, which we call Sustained Competitiveness using predictive and big data analytics. With me today on this hangout is Pawan Sharma of Advanced SCS, who's organizing the program, in Singapore and in Brunei. But he'll tell you more about that himself. And also, I have Dr. Abhijit Sanyal, who's one of the main faculties for this program, for this two-day program. But we will come to all that later, and we will come to introductions later. At this stage, I'd like to hand over to Pavan for his introductory remarks, and then after which then we will get on with the introduction.
Thanks,
So
Raja.
over to you, Pavan.
Yeah, thanks, Raja. My name is Pavan. I'm the director of Advanced Supply Chain. We are a Singapore-based company, and the company, we have been around for about 20 years now. It was established in '94, and we provide customized competency-based workshop and training in procurement and supply chain. That's a niche area, and we have been providing these workshops to people in the government in Singapore and Brunei. We've also been doing it for large multinationals in the region, in Singapore and the region. We have offices and training centers in Singapore, in Brunei, in Bangladesh. We work through partners in India, Sri Lanka, and Jakarta, including. Over to Abhijit.
Oh, hello, everybody. Thanks, Pawan. Thanks, Raja, for the introductions. My name is Abhijit Sanyal, and my basic degree is electrical engineering, and I have a PhD in marketing. So I've been working in this, data analytics space and the marketing sciences and big data for the last, 20, 25 years. So big data, of course, is a recent phenomenon in the last 10 years or so. But my experience has been in analytics and in places. I've worked in consulting firms like Oliver Wyman, and I've been with IBM for some time in the data science group as a practice leader, and I've worked across industries such as financial services, telecom, media and entertainment, transportation, aviation, and analyzing and analyzing data and coming up with actionable insights that the management teams can utilize to bring about sustainable competitive advantage. So this course is going to be an exciting course, and as Pawan has already told you, and Raja will tell you as well, that we hope to see many of you there. And it's an introductory course, but it's packed with materials, packed with information, and packed with kind of insights and case studies that you will not get even by reading books about or reading blogs, etc., because this is actually real work done by real people over the last 20, 25, in the last 5 years, very recent new work. So having said that, over to you, Raja, and we can carry on with the other elements of our session today.
Yeah, thank you, Abhijit. Just to carry on from there, as Abhijit mentioned, he's the key core faculty for this program. To introduce myself briefly, I have spent now over 3 decades in the area of Infocom, basically being into IT hardware, to start with. I used to work for an IBM subsidiary for in the initial years, and I've had experience on everything platforms, starting from mainframes to proprietary mini computers to PCs, and now of course mobile devices and so on. I have over the years worked in regions like India, South Asia, and then for an extensive period in Southeast Asia, based out of Singapore. I've had experience in managing leadership roles for a number of organizations, which included very established MNCs as well as mid-range, mid-sized organizations, and handled a lot of clients like including people like Hewlett Packard and Oracle and MX, and the largest bank in India, like State Bank of India, and many others. During the course of my work, I have forged partnerships with people like Microsoft and IBM and others for some of the regional work that we were doing on behalf of some of the companies. Now, for the last few years, I've been engaged as one of the co-founders of Digital CRM in areas like corporate education and strategic consulting in places like digital online marketing, analytics, emerging disruptive technologies, as well as social media management and strategies, and so on. I graduation in engineering, and I have an MBA from IIM Calcutta, which is an institution which we both of us went to. So that's as far as my educational background is and professional profile is concerned. So having said that, I'll there are, I think, a number of questions which are there. So I'll hand over to Pawan to pose some of those questions on behalf of those who have posed them. And meanwhile, if any of you are watching live and you have other questions which you want to pose, let me mention that there's together with this Hangout, there's a Q&A app which will enable you to key in questions or post questions offline, and we can take them up and answer them as and when they come in. So having said that, over to you, Pawan.
Yeah, thanks, Raja. Since the time we actually posted the details of the program and the workshop, we have been receiving a number of inquiries and number of interest from people. Primarily because big data, like Abhijit said, is the new buzzword, and everybody seems to be talking. And most people would say that analytics has been around for some time, even though big data is a new word, but people have been doing some sort of analytics. But primarily was left to the people in the IT or in the information technology division. And now people are saying, why does the top management or senior management need to get any overview of the data analytics? Is it not the job of, let's say, people in the IT division or job of a CIO who should be doing this, not the CFOs or the users or the COOs? So what would be a good response to that question?
Yeah, thanks, Pawan. That's I think a very pertinent and a very relevant question under the circumstances. And I would briefly answer it by saying that over the years and over the decades, with the progression of IT and with the computerization and digitization of a lot of functions internally within organizations, there's been this mass of data, absolute wealth of data, which has been generated internally. A lot of that data is being used by various applications and programs and so on. But what has also changed over the last decade and more is that in addition to all this internal data, with cloud computing and with the internet, there's also a mass of external data, structured data, unstructured data, what have you. But there's a lot of data out there, and as many organizations have discovered that making judgment calls or taking business decisions based on hunches or judgments or what people call experience has not been always very profitable and good, because people have made errors, and in today's competitive business, those kind of errors can lead to disastrous consequences for the organization. So now there's this growing concept about data-driven decision making. And senior management in a number of organizations is beginning to realize that sustainable competitive advantages can be derived, can be realized by using all this data, structured data, unstructured data, internal data, external data, what have you, to develop a whole lot of insights and answer some very critical what-if questions which need to be posed by the senior management or by the top management to decide strategies and directions and so on. So which is why I think it is very important that senior management and top management get to understand what analytics is all about, what it can do, and get to have a fairly detailed overview of what it takes to get an analytics program going in their organizations if they haven't already done so. Now, does that answer the question, Pawan?
Yeah, that I do now have insight on what will be the overall objective of the program. So I have a question for Abhijit. Abhijit, we are talking about big data and we are inviting people from senior management, including CXOs and CIOs and CTOs. What would be the key takeaway for them from this program? Why should they attend this program?
Yeah, so let me try to understand that question, or at least answer the question in terms of maybe three broad constructs. So, I mean, the first one is, trying to understand what is big data. We want to strip away the hype. We want to basically, understand this data explosion in terms of what I call the four V's. The variety of the data, the velocity of the data, and the veracity. Veracity means how good is the data and the volumes of data. So when I say these four V's, data comes, as Raja was saying, it comes in structured, unstructured forms. And data is also continuously internally generated. We will also look at the sources of this data. What is the reason for this big data explosion currently happening? So the second thing is try to understand the data as a source of competitive advantage and explore the whole idea of experimentation and predictive analytics around it. And even though, to a certain extent, it's important for the CXOs and the CEOs, but at the same time, there's this data flow and the data analysis and the insight that can actually go down to the tactical level to basically where it can be consumed by, say, the brand managers or the logistics managers or the finance managers to make day-to-day operational decisions as well, either based on if-then rules or based on predictive analytics, but based on internal data that is currently generated, stored, and then forgotten away. I mean, that's one of the tragedies of this big data explosion, is because there are very few people who can understand and work with it. The third thing I think I would like to talk about, we would kind of also give an understanding what are the analytical frameworks and tools, and how do you derive insights from the analysis that you do. Obviously, 2 days is too short a period of time to cover everything, but we will hopefully generate a very high level of awareness, interest, and urgency with our participants in trying to understand, estimate, and work with data going forward. Does it answer your question, Bob?
Yeah, and that's important. The analytics can be as good as the veracity of the data and the sense that you make out of that data. But how relevant or useful will analytics be to maybe present-day businesses, especially in Asia or in this region, including Singapore?
Right. So I think the one way to understand that question is understand what is happening in terms of what is happening in terms of the data explosion in Asia. So right now, I think on a global basis, this is a number that obviously is kind of changing as we speak. There are something like, if you take an internet minute, there are about 683,000 gigabytes of data that is generated every internet minute. So, and in Asia, for example, we had, I think, Facebook had 5 million posts, or 5 million, members in 2008. Right now, I think Facebook is going up to something like 500 million members. So all these people are exchanging, messages. They're talking about products. They're talking about brands. Twitter, for example, has over 300 million users, and Twitter is a very important kind of bandwidth or bandpipe for kind of exposing companies to how their brands are being viewed. So I'm just giving an example. Then, even a simple jet engine taking off from, say, or 4 jet engines in an aircraft is generating huge volumes of data as we speak. Singapore alone, the statistic is something like it creates something like 1,200 terabytes of digital data every year. So the telecommunications business, about 70% of people on a global basis will have some kind of either cell phones or mobile phones in another couple of years. And a large part of that growth is coming from Asia. Cell phones are now actually can be tracked, and you can actually analyze the cell phone, your kind of the tone of the voice to kind of come up with medical decisions. Like, do you have an emergency? Are you suffering from diabetes? Are you suffering from amnesia? All kinds of diagnostic checks can be actually made just based on cell phone conversations. Cell phones can even be used for health, health education purposes. It can be used for a variety of purposes. And the coast of Kerala, cell phones are being used by fishermen to basically find the best price of their fish. So, what I'm trying to say out here is that the world is getting connected and connected in a very big way. There's a lot of instrumentation happening, and companies have to kind of move very fast, to try to economic use, cost efficient and cost benefit analysis, make all the cost benefit analysis to make efficient use of all the data sources that they have internally as well as externally. Have that answer your question, Pawan?
Yeah, it's very interesting, but I also found that it's very overwhelming, the amount of data and the amount of data getting generated and transmitted. But are there any specific tools or applications that can be used conveniently by the managers and the users of this data into some relevant information? Is there anything that you're going to share with the people who attend this program? Because that's very important for them.
Right, absolutely. We will, that's basically we'll be talking about all those specific tools and technologies that are available. And I'll give you an example. The Hadoop is one of these things. You might have heard of the term Hadoop, and all the other things like Hadoop, Scoop, Pig, Flume, Aussie, all these various software tools that are available. And that is one of the frameworks we'll be talking about. How does Hadoop work? What do you need to learn about Hadoop? When is Hadoop useful? When it is not useful? For example, one of the things Hadoop does not work is for operational data, right? But Hadoop is very, very good and very efficient when you have very, very vast masses of data. And actually, the one key thing is you don't move data, right? Because moving data is basically causes the most amount of delays in transmission. So Hadoop has the data in one location, and you take the analysis to the data, get the results, and come back. And that process is very efficient. So we'll be talking about all these issues and the frameworks and technologies that that you can expect to start thinking about them, using them, and what are the use cases that basically best illustrate these applications.
That sounds very interesting. So I just to reiterate, Advance is holding a workshop which will be sustained competitiveness using predictive and big data analytics together with digital CRM. Which is at the seminar, and I hope to see all the participants at the seminar. So if you have any inquiries, please visit our website, advancescs.com, and drop us an email or register online if you're keen to attend the program.
Yeah, hope to see all of you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Pawan.
Thanks,
hope to, like Abhijit said, hope to see all of you there and interact with you, and hope to have a session which really adds a lot of value and content.
Yeah.
Good day to you all, and we will end this session here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.